This is not just about farming. This is not just about nitrogen. This is about the very nature of the Netherlands. Hello and welcome to 10 Walks Explain Everything with me, Nicholas Walton. This is the third of my walks that explains the Netherlands. It started out on the Hook of Holland over by the North Sea, walked along the Maas for a little bit and then turned north towards Delft. Not that far away from Delft now, which is always a good sign for me because I used to live here for 4 years and really loved it. Now, Delft is a lovely place to stay. It's between Rotterdam over there and The Hague, which is over that direction towards the sea. And in fact, it's not that far away from Amsterdam if you want to commute all the way up to there every day. So it's a perfect location and it's a beautiful, beautiful place. It's like a shrunken Amsterdam, surrounded by canals and full of canals and little canal houses, all on a much smaller scale than Amsterdam. Who would not want to live there? We loved it. However, the house prices are sky high. Some of the highest house prices in the whole of the Netherlands. Now, why am I talking about house prices? Well, this environmental crisis that the Netherlands now faces is not just about nitrogen getting into water systems and damaging the legs of birds and their eggs and so on. It's also about the housing stock of the Netherlands. You see, a lot of the older houses are built on piles, wooden piles that are driven into the earth. As water tables change thanks to environmental changes, what happens is that they can dry out and then they get wet again and then they start to rot. The average repair cost is thought to be maybe 54,000, but 85% of homeowners aren't really aware of the climate risk to their houses. So it's a bit of a time bomb. And of course, once that starts changing, that's when the tipping point comes in. It would be unequal because if people have to spend money on the foundations of their house, then if your house isn't worth as much because you own a house worth 200,000 euros, it's a much bigger proportion of the value of that house than, for instance, if you're sitting pretty on a 1 million euro house. So there's a bit of an equity issue there as well. There are other problems. If dikes need building up, then that could mean that some of them need to be horizontally reinforced by 90 meters. Now, 90 meters covers a hell of a lot of land and a lot of housing. This is Den Hoorn, a kilometre or two outside of Delft, and it's lovely and sunny and I've got a lovely seat here, so I thought I'd take a final rest before I finish this walk. First, a couple of notes. A study on house prices suggested that a rapid sea level rise could trigger tipping points on flood perceptions, and this could affect everything from insurance markets and the finances of people like you and me all the way through to the tax base and public spending. Chief economist from the big bank said it's actually time for climate risk labelling to go on houses, just the same way that we use energy labelling to go on fridges. One real estate agent called climate a dark cloud that could lead to 325 billion euros of losses. So that's pretty significant. So when we look at the tractors on the streets of Den Haag and how this is spread across Europe, and that's because of nitrogen coming out of the intensive farming system, we really have to think about some of the other challenges that the Netherlands faces because it is such a peculiar country. It starts off with that geographical fragility, the fact that so much of it is under sea level, and then you add on to the intensive way in which it's farmed, the way in which it's reinforced itself, it's engineered itself out of some of the challenges of the past. But that's before climate change comes along. So what is it going to do in the future? It's a big challenge. And all of the surveys suggest that not enough Dutch people are thinking about it. There's a place just opposite me on this canal that I'm walking past. You can see it there. Dansland Westland, I think it's called. My wife and I turned up for about 3 lessons in ballroom dancing. Not my idea. I've never been more out of my depth in my life. And I really didn't enjoy it. The third time I went, I insisted we leave halfway through the lesson. And my goodness me, the woman shouted at us for leaving. Not one of the best times in my life, I've got to say, but yeah, it's taught me what I don't want to do in life, and that's ballroom dancing. So there you go. That's the third walk of these 10 walks that explain the Netherlands. This one was mainly about agriculture, but all the environmental and political problems that are being stored up in a country that's so intensively run, so artificial in the way it's put together. It's been a gorgeous walk, I think, not just for people like me who like a bit of an industrial estate or a bit of engineering, but also there's water, there's egrets and herons, there's goats, there's geese, there's the ducks, there's boats, there's canals, there's all of these beautiful pieces of wisteria behind me. And there's quite a bit of history. Of course, if you go into Delft, you'll be laden with history, and that's where the fourth walk comes from. My next walk, that'll be up on the island of Texel, where we can actually start to really think about the deep history of the Dutch Republic. Of course, Delft itself is one of the former capitals of the Dutch Republic. But we want to look at the voyages and how this spread the Dutch Republic, the golden age around the world, to the East Indies, to South America, to the subcontinent in Asia and beyond. And that's the next walk. If it's anything as good as this one, and if the weather's anything as nice, it'll be fantastic. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.